All right, let's get started. I don't mean to jump in and sort of take over, but my name is Ed Stock. I'm a local lawyer, and the city had done a request for proposals for someone to serve as the solicitor to this group. So earlier today, this afternoon, I was notified that the mayor selected me to serve as your solicitor. So if it's okay with everybody, I'll just run things until we get organized and we'll go from there. So at this point, I'll pledge of allegiance. 5:38. All right. We'll do a roll call as to who's here. Adela Rodriguez, Carlos Rivera, Deborah Bradford. She's coming. Okay.
For the record, can everyone please verbally confirm that they are here through the mics?
Push the button on your mic to turn it green when it's your turn to talk. That way you can be heard. This room's big and sound doesn't carry.
Where's my mic?
You'll have to share.
You can share with me.
Thank you,
I
Paige.
don't have a problem. with that.
David Myers,
Present.
Ann Sheehan,
Aye. Present.
Brian Grubb. Brian Grubb. Can you maybe share? Jonathan Mejia,
Here.
Yep.
Tanya Melendez,
Present.
Evelyn Morrison,
Present.
and Sheila Perez.
Present.
Looks like we have 9 out of 11. Are there any public comments? Sir, you want to step up to the podium? Can you just introduce yourself before you start to speak?
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Francis Edward Morrison. I am a lifelong resident of Reading, Pennsylvania. And since we didn't open this up with any invocation, I'd like to say, may Almighty God shed thy grace on thee. I see the dysfunction, and I question, who does this dysfunction serve? It serves those who lurk in the shadow. Now that sounds kind of mysterious, but those are the individuals who seek to control the resources. And let's consider the residents of Reading, Pennsylvania and the Commonwealth are a major resource, the most valuable resource we have. And in order to maintain control over that resource, there's individuals who make decisions behind closed doors that you and I are not privy to. And they understand the mechanism of municipal law. So when I study the law of this particular body, there are some specifics that are not even mentioned. So that's how they skirt around them, by not communicating, because there is no penalty. See, so we're spinning our wheels in the sand and not going anywhere. For what purpose? because community action, community involvement is taking precedent and things are getting done. There's being success to the degree that power belongs to the people and not those who are educated and have the financial resources in order to maintain control. And unless you are willing to acknowledge who that is, and I will tell you that it rests within the judicial system because that's where the appeals have to be made. You either have to file to the common pleas court or appeal the decision to a higher court. So that's going to cost you money, time, and resources because those who lurk in the shadows do not want you to be involved in the decision-making process. Now you have to consider why. Because we have a change in the demographics. In 1984, I saw an emerging demographic. Now I see the demographic is fully here. You have a Latino mayor, but his hands are tied. They're trying to change the form of government to wrest the control away from the people. I've seen them change a district in order to allow more people to come in to create diversity within the city council when diversity may not be needed. To that point, let me end and say thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Okay, so we're a body that's bound by the Pennsylvania Open Meetings Law, or what's known as the Sunshine Act. So we have to pretty much do what's on the agenda. So that's why I'm going to follow it. The next item on the agenda is opening remarks. Okay, welcome. We're not really organized yet, but does anybody have any opening remarks that they would like to make?
I want to make sure that I'm Evelyn Morrison, Pastor Evelyn Morrison, and I want to make sure that we understand that we are a body that is of the people, for the people, and by the people. And I would like that as we go through our work, as we're reviewing the charter, as we're initiating the community engagement, that we are able to make sure that the community is well established and well documented and well represented. So I'm hoping that in our process, we are able to look at public hearings, surveys, literally being able to hear from the public as often as we can. That's my opening statement. Mhm.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Are we bound by the?
Can you
Ro-
just introduce yourself so we all
Melendez.
get to know each other?
Yeah, Tanya Melendez, resident of District 1, 18th Ward to be exact, represent, sorry. I would like to know if we are bound to the Robert's Rules of Order for this body, and if we are, does everybody have access to those rules? Not everybody has participated in a board.
I was going to get to that. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to say anything?
I have, it's
Just
not- I've-
introduce yourself.
Talk.
Just-
My name is Ann Sheen.
I know you're not Jamie Baez, so.
I'm not Jamie Baez, no, and I'm not Melissa Ventura either. My name is Ann Sheehan. I've lived in the city for years. And I was wondering if anybody had approached the Center for Excellence in Local Government as to be a facilitator. Or are you filling that role?
Well, I learned about 3 hours ago that I was going to be asked to be the solicitor to the
Uh-huh.
group. So I don't know what has transpired before then
Uh-huh.
in terms of, connecting with any group, including the Center for Excellence in Local Government. Now, I happen to serve on the advisory board of that group, and involving that group might not be a bad idea at some point.
They were involved I was on not the last charter review, but the one before that, I think. And Paul Jansen facilitated that.
Yeah.
It was very useful.
Anybody else want to say anything as an opening remark? Ms. Perez?
Yes, my name is Sheila Perez, and I'm sorry, but I object to having the Center for, what's a Center of Excellence?
It's called the Center for Excellence in Local Government,
Okay.
CELG.
And the only reason I object, because in the 2013, 2014 Home Rule Charter Review Commission, the majority of those commissioners were either employees or council people. So I strongly object to having any interaction or having them participate as facilitators on this commission. I don't mind anybody else that's brought forward. We certainly would consider, but I strongly object. Because during that 2013, 2014 Home Rule Charter Review Commission, it was a conflict of interest to have employees and members of council serve on that, considering the fact that the Home Rule Charter is the controlling body, the controlling tool that governs the elected seats of the city of Reading. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would just note, I mean, the group's going to have to decide how it wants to proceed. So involvement of any outside organization or individual will ultimately be up to the group to decide. You know, at this point, we're just trying to get organized.
Okay, can I just say that he does not work for the city or for any local government?
Stand
He would just help us. keep-
research, and I'm not feeling comfortable.
Okay,
with it. Thank you.
that's fine.
Anybody else have any opening remarks? So if not, the next item is just a quick overview of the pertinent provision of the charter that applies to the group, which is, as you can see, set forth on the agenda before you. So the city charter requires a review commission to be formed every 5 years, but no sooner than every 3 years. The commission is composed of 11 members, 4 of whom are appointed by the mayor and 7 are appointed by city council. No elected official or employee may serve on the commission, and I don't think we have any elected officials on the commission. All appointees are to be current residents and registered voters in the city. We have 6 months to review the current charter, submit a report to city council, the mayor, and the citizens, and recommend any proposed amendments to the charter. And then city council and the mayor by ordinance would put any proposed amendments on the ballot no later than the next municipal election. And city council shall provide appropriations for the reasonable expenses incurred by the commission. So that's essentially your governing, essentially one paragraph. That's your mission, your directive as set forth in the Home Rule Charter. Anybody have any questions at this point on what I just outlined? Okay, sure.
The question I have is that are we enabling any other commission, review commission, to follow any agenda for any other commission? As you said, we are an independent group. We work within our own parameters, and that we don't really have to be concerned about what another commission did or did not do in
Yeah,
this.
I think that's completely accurate. You are newly appointed or relatively newly appointed. You're not bound by the prior review commissions. I know just from looking at some of the history quickly today that some of you did serve on prior review commissions. You're not bound by any actions that prior commissions took, and you're certainly not bound by any other city board, agency, commission, group whatsoever. I mean, you're free to operate in your independent space within the parameters that Section 1203 of the Charter provides.
Thank you for the clarification.
One of the things under the what's called the Sunshine Act or Open Meetings Law is that we can only take action, official action on items that are specifically listed on the agenda. But let me just review from the report of the Review Commission that did its work back in 2019 and 2020, just to give you an idea of some things that we should get on the next agenda or consider putting on the next agenda for action by this group.
I just asked the question, are we bound?
No, I didn't say we're, Evelyn, I didn't say we're bound. I'm just giving, I just want to give you a list of things that you should consider for the next meeting. That's all. I'm not saying you have to do it, but these are fairly,
It's
fairly-
it's just context for us.
yeah. I mean, and the one question was, so again, you don't have to do this. I'm just giving you sort of a summary of a couple of procedural things that the last group did. If you elect or choose not to do this, it's totally up to you. But the last group did indicate that the latest version of Robert's Rules and Order would be followed as far as the parliamentary procedure.
Mhm.
Now, I will tell you, I am not Robert's Rules of Order is a book this thick. So it's, I am far from a Robert's Rules an expert, but I know how meetings are generally run. The last group considered what would constitute a quorum of this group. A quorum would be the minimum number of members present to hold a meeting where action could be taken. The last group requested a budget not to exceed $20,000 to cover expenses. And according to the report that was written, City Council did allocate $5,000 for fiscal year 2019 and $10,000 for fiscal year 2020. So, I mean, you may want to consider, establishing a budgetary request to cover some of the expenses. The commission last time hired a recorder translator to record and produce the minutes and translate the documents into Spanish, which probably seems like a good idea to me.
Mhm.
And the report does say that all commission documents were subsequently translated. So those are the things that I gleaned from the report that the prior commission wrote and published that this group might want to consider, just to, again, establish some procedures and processes that the group will follow so that it's not just, chaotic. The one action item that is on the agenda for tonight would be the election of a chair and a vice chair. I would point out that, simply being a chair doesn't give you your vote any more weight. You're still one vote of 11. But the chair's job would be to sort of do what I'm doing right now, which would be to run the meeting so that we can get to the end at some point, before the sun comes up in the morning. And then a vice chair would be to, fill in if the chair can't make it. So with that, does the group wish to proceed with the election of a chair?
Yeah.
Do you want me to run the sort of the nominating process? Okay. All right. So I often do this for other clients. So what I'll do is I will open the floor for nominations, and then I would suggest that the nomination be seconded by another member. I'll accept as many nominations as the group wishes to make, and then we will conduct an election after I close the nominations. Okay? Everybody okay with that? Yes. All right. All right, so I will open the floor for nominations for the position of chair. All right, so we have a nomination for Javier Rodriguez. I'm sorry? I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm trying to write and listen at the same time. That's a bad combination for me. So Adela Rodriguez has been nominated for chair. Is there a second to that nomination? Second? Can you just give us your name to, I'll learn everybody's name soon, I promise. Should turn green.
No, it's not green, it's red. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Adela Rodriguez.
I nominate Dave Myers.
It's awkward to nominate yourself.
I will second the nomination, Deborah Bradford.
Yes, I nominate Pastor Morrison.
And I second that one as well.
Tanya Melendez.
I'll second Tanya. Can I ask a question here really quickly? How are we going to decide who wins the election? Is it going to be just a majority? Is it
I
gonna
think
be
it's
just
going to
a
be,
simple
my
majority?
opinion would be the simple majority, the candidate with the most votes. I mean, this is not a lifetime appointment.
No,
So
I
if
understand. I don't
if-
know whether we wanted to do a
if-
second round of the,
we're really just trying to get organized.
Yeah.
So, because we're starting from as, ground zero as possibly can. So if we get a chair nominated or elected tonight and the group wants to, once it's organized, proceed in a different fashion with a different chair and vice chair, I don't know that there's anything that would prevent that from occurring. Okay, but somehow we got to get started. That's my view. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna. We can do that. Yeah. Sure. Because we're keeping track here, I'm just going to go around the table and if you can indicate who your vote is for, and then Paige can keep track of that and we'll know who the winner is. Hopefully it's not a tie at the end, okay?
Good luck on that one.
Yeah. All right, so Ms. Perez.
vote for Pastor Morrison.
Okay. Vilma,
Tanya Melendez.
okay. Tanya,
Tanya Melendez.
okay. Adela? Okay.
For self. Adela Rodriguez.
And,
Adela Rodriguez.
okay, Javier? Okay. Pastor Morrison? Okay. Ms. Sheehan?
For myself, thank you. Pastor Morrison.
Okay. Ms. Sheehan?
Dave Myers.
Mr. Myers?
I'm going to vote for Tanya Melendez.
And Ms. Bradford?
For Pastor Morrison.
Okay. So we have 4 votes for Pastor Morrison, 3 for Ms. Melendez, 2 for Ms. Rodriguez, and 1 for Mr. Myers. That's 10 votes, and that's how many are here. Is everybody satisfied with the outcome of the election for chair?
Yeah.
Okay. Evelyn, do you mind if I just run the election for vice chair? Or I can turn it over to you. It's up to. Okay. All right. Same process for vice chair. I'll take nominations.
Tanya Melendez.
Okay, we have Tanya Melendez,
Melendez.
and you're seconding? We're not voting yet. That's a second? Okay. Any other nominations?
Yeah. Sheila Perez.
Okay, Ms. Perez. Is there a second to that nomination?
I second it.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay, hearing no more, I'm going to close the nominations. So we have 2 candidates for the position of vice chair, Tanya Melendez and Sheila Perez. So we'll follow the same process. I'll just go in the same order. Start with you, Ms. Perez. Mike?
I guess I'll vote for myself.
Okay.
Tanya Melendez.
Tanya Melendez.
Sheila Perez.
Tanya Melendez. Sheila Perez.
Sheila Perez.
Tanya Melendez.
Tanya Melendez.
Sheila Perez.
Okay, we have a tie.
I told you.
Co-chairs. Co-vice chairs.
I'm good with, you want to
Yeah,
co-chairs?
yeah.
What?
We'll have co-chairs, co-vice chairs.
That's,
Yeah.
that's even better yet.
Yeah.
I prefer that.
You have a lot of
Okay.
work to do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Well,
not greedy.
that's good. All right. So congratulations.
Thank you, Connie. Congratulations.
We've successfully taken our first official action. I noticed from the last, and I'm only bringing this up just to give you sort of an idea of how the last group handled things. They had, it appears, 10 total meetings. Looks like they were meeting initially for the first month or 2 weekly. And then it got a little bit more sporadic after that, maybe because of holidays. But the group should define what you want to do as far as a meeting schedule. These meetings are public meetings, so the city will have to advertise the meetings so that the requirements of the law are met. And the next meeting, the agenda would be a little bit more robust, I think, with specific action to be taken, which we can talk about. But at this point, what is the will of the group in terms of a meeting schedule?
Twice a month.
12 meetings total, so we have 6 months. to
Yeah,
get
yeah, right. Yeah.
Is supposed is the aim of December 31st, right?
Mm-mm.
No, we have.
No.
Yeah.
Can you clarify that? Excuse me.
Yeah, as I understand it, there has been some delay in getting this group together.
Thank you.
The charter says 6 months of its appointment. Frankly, I would probably be constrained to interpret that as 6 months from tonight in order for this group to really be effective. I mean, because if you were appointed last year, you're already out of existence. So I would think that our goal would be to have a report written and recommendations made to city council and the mayor and the public as defined in the charter within the next 6 months.
I would like to suggest that we meet twice a month until the last 2 months, in which case we should meet more often. That way we'll have all of our reading and research done. And by that point, we'll be ready to work on some of the details, which we'll need to meet more often.
I'm sorry. No, she's, right now it's
Right
just.
now, we're just talking
recommended,
about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I need to remind this group that we need to leave room open for public hearings, because public hearings must take place, regarding whatever we decide to propose, so that the public can have enough time to give input, either in writing or in person, before we make our final decisions as to what referendums we'll be able to put on the ballot. I just want you guys to keep it. I just want you guys to keep an open mind that public hearings, I mean, if we're gonna meet two times a month, in addition to that, just be prepared to have to attend public hearings in addition to those meetings that we are scheduling, okay?
Okay?
Adela?
I don't know.
Evelyn, you have your hand up?
I did.
Mike?
I want us to be cognizant that not only are we far behind, but we're not going to be able to put anything on the November election. That's key. And we're only going to be gearing up for the primary election should we decide to have a ballot question. So we're already far behind. But the thing is this, when we meet, this is that much important that we need to meet at least once a week until we're able to take the ball and run with it. I don't know if anyone has studied the charter. I don't know, I won't poll anyone, but that in itself is the first line of business, to actually study the charter. And at the same time, I want everyone to look at the last 4 years of the ballot questions. Because the ballot questions, as we have proven it, the ballot questions had not been thorough. They only used the ballot question by its title. So if I said to you, chapter, or I'd say Article 13, you would not know what Article 13 was as the general population. And we found out that there is no discussion. There was no, there wasn't any, say that again, Sheila?
There was no outreach or education
Or
to the public.
And there was no notice.
Correct.
So when we look at that, I like for you all to look at that the last 4 years of voting, because all of the votes that all of the ballot questions that took place was mainly during the COVID epidemic. So there was not any education, there was no meetings, there was no evaluation for the general public. So I want all of you to understand that we have a very big piece to put together for this particular ballot questions. So I just want you to just, you know, as you're reading it, look back on the last 4 years of the ballot questions.
So, Dr. Brookins, is that something that you could do for us with the support?
At this point, I'm just supporting today, so I
Yeah,
have no.
understand.
I'm just helping in support of the city to make sure that this took place. This has nothing to do with my schedule, because I'm not sure who's gonna be sitting in this seat to support you from the point.
My question is, would that be what's on the last 2 pages of this
Correct.
document?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
So-
One last thing I want to add. Basically, what we're trying to say is when people went to vote, they voted blindly. They had no idea what they were voting for, including residency, how the importance, why people in certain positions should be residents and should be residents of the city of Reading. And that it's very important for us to educate the people, because education is power.
Mhm.
And power leads to passion, and passion leads to change.
I think the discussion might be bleeding over into the next item on the agenda. Let's just try to establish what the group thinks it wants to do in terms of a meeting schedule.
Yeah.
It's been suggested twice a month. Does anybody feel differently? Once a week, that's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, once a week. Yeah, that's right. All right, so it sounds like we're going to have to do this by vote. Yeah. So does somebody, let's start with this. Does somebody want to make a motion? Well, let me back up. So if the meeting, like, this is Thursday night, 5:30. We have 10 out of 11 people here, that's a good turnout. Do we want to try to keep it Thursdays at 5:30, whether it's weekly or bi-weekly? Okay. So let me ask then for a motion. Let's start with meeting once a week. Let me ask for a motion that group would meet once a week on Thursdays at 5:30 in city council chambers. Does somebody want to make that motion?
I want to present motion for Carlos Rivera. I want to present motion for twice a week and 5 p.m.
Twice a week?
No, wait.
Twice a month. I'm sorry. Twice a month, 5 p.m. Thursday at 5 p.m. and twice a month.
The only problem I have with 5 p.m. is that certain individuals don't get out of work till 5. So it kind of makes it difficult for some members, including myself, to be here by 5 o'clock.
And I also will need travel time.
5:30, 5 o'clock.
It was also mentioned to me by Paige that the group that was meeting before us, immediately before us, that you may have seen leaving as we were coming in, they have a standing meeting at 4 o'clock every fourth Thursday.
Fourth Thursday.
So it might be better to, for several reasons, to just start the meetings at 5:30.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have a motion. Let me repeat the motion as I understand it, that was made by Mr. Rivera, to meet twice a month, would be Thursdays at 5:30. Did I state that correctly, sir?
It's fine to me.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion? Okay, Adela seconds it. Any discussion on the motion that hasn't already happened? All right, let's go around and we'll do it by roll call. So if you vote yes, it would be in support of the motion. If you vote no, it would be against the motion. So we'll start with, you're,
The only reason I'm saying that is because both Carlos and Pastor Morrison do have a point. Maybe to begin, maybe we do it once a week or 3 weeks out of the month for like the first maybe 2 months, and then we take a vote from there if we need to meet or we can reduce it.
can certainly change the schedule. I mean, if
That's my.
I'm not voting, but honestly, if it were up to me, I would schedule weekly meetings for at least the initial next month just to get started, because 6 months seems like a long time, but it can go quickly. And, you have holidays that fall in there that people are busy with family and travel perhaps. So I would suggest that we schedule meetings for at least the next 4 weeks, once a week, just to get started. Because you got a lot to, just to go, again, I don't, it's your group. I'm just trying to facilitate, but honestly, I would envision the first meeting being to just go through the charter.
Yeah.
And I'm I believe it or not, actually helped on a volunteer basis back in the day to write the charter, to support the study commission that was writing the home rule charter. So I know it fairly well, and I, would be pleased to facilitate going through it, but that's going to take a meeting just to go through it.
Yes,
Um,
and rightfully so.
So, Carlos, do you want to amend your motion to suggest that we meet for the first month every week?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then we can decide somewhere in there as to how we want to adjust, okay? All right, so the motion as it stands is to meet for the next 4 weeks, once a week, Thursdays at 5:30 here in City Council chambers. And then we'll see how the schedule should be adjusted after that. Okay? All right, it looks like everybody's sort of nodding their head on that compromise, so let's just do it by okay. It'll be in City Hall, though. Yeah. Okay. All right, so I'm going to just call for a voice vote on that because I see everybody sort of nodding their head. So all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed to that motion? Okay, so the next meeting will be Thursday, the 4th at 5:30, either here or at another location in City Hall, which they will get the word to everybody. Yes.
If it's not going to be in city council chambers, one of the great advantages of having it in here is that the ability to have it recorded.
Correct.
Can we then propose that we can have someone record the meetings if it's not going to be in city council?
Yeah, I've been in meetings on the 3rd floor conference room that is, other than the atmosphere is different, it has the same functionality, so.
All right, I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
But we'll make sure that happens, because I agree, that's important. Okay, Next agenda item is the discussion of the initial priorities and work plan. As I just said a minute or so ago, my suggestion for what it's worth would be that the first session be a review of the charter for everybody.
So I have a question before we proceed. I know that, yes, I agree that the review of the charter needs to be, but I know that we also have to set a budget at some point, and I would like to know what that budget is for. What does it normally, what
What-
expenses does this group usually incur for the city?
Yeah, it's a good question. What I was going to suggest, would be, I will help develop the budget and I will have a line item on the budget so that you can vote on it. To make them, it has to go to city council because they'll have to appropriate the money, but they are required to appropriate money. In terms of the expenses, there's my cost.
But that's an addition.
Yeah, maybe I could rely on
Yeah.
Sheila or Everlyn because you were involved in the last commission. Do you know what other expenses were incurred?
Yes, your fee is outside of the budget.
Okay.
Yes, And then the other one is we wanted to print the surveys. We wanted to make sure that we had a stenographer for the
Public hearings.
public hearings. And then also we did have a recording secretary. I'm not sure how we're going to work that out, but we did have a recording secretary who was able to, I believe we paid her $25 for the,
It was $25 an hour, but that person also translated
and she translated, so
Okay.
that was more than.
and she recorded.
Yeah. And she did verbatim, so she actually had the recording.
And did you get then like a transcript of the
Yes,
meeting?
each
Okay.
time. So what we said was verbatimly transcribed. So we had to really be careful of what we were saying,
So it sounds like
was
the
good.
expenses would be for
It was
possible
translated, yeah.
creation of materials to be, again, depending on what direction the group goes in, but possibly, printing some materials, a recording secretary, translator.
The public meetings have to be advertised.
Yeah, there's be advertising, you have to advertise the public meetings in the newspaper. So I think those are generally the expenses the group would have.
Tanya Melendez, I would like to see the last couple of budgets and how they define them before we sit down and actually request a budget.
Yeah, I can find out. I'll ask, city clerk is usually a resource. I'll ask if they have, information on what was spent the last time and even the prior times, if that still exists.
I'm sorry, with regards to the last time, instead of meeting for 6 months, we only met for 3 because the chairperson took it upon himself to stop the commission at the 3-month mark.
Okay.
So we can't give you a full budget because we did it, but no.
But you did produce looks like a thorough report, and you did produce several recommendations for an ordinance. So, I mean, it seems like the group did achieve something.
Yes, we did achieve, but had we had the ability to actually take it to fruition for the 6 months, we would have been able to impact not only the primary, but also the general election
Okay.
those years.
Well, you're not, as I said earlier, you're not bound by anything that the prior review commission did or didn't do. You're on, you've got a clean slate. The only reason to look back as to what they did is just to get some historical information.
I run under the understanding that I don't know what I don't know. So I want to know what I don't know.
Right. And
That's just that simple. That's how it works for me.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, so are we agreed then that the first session next week will be a review of the charter? Okay, all right, because that's going to take,
Tanya Melendez, I would like to make a motion that our next session, we go over the charter, review the charter.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Any discussion? If not, all, go ahead, I'm sorry.
If we're meeting for an hour and a half, the charter is going to take longer than that, just to give you a heads up. So if we need to, or, I mean, it's just a recommendation. It's up to you guys.
Would you like to amend the motion that we make at the next two meetings?
Let me first explain what I'm trying to say. Maybe perhaps we can review the charter amongst ourselves and then be prepared to bring to discussion any items. It's just, I'm just throwing it out there. Items of concern with regards to the charter, or if we're reviewing the charter, it is a long-winded document that can't be discussed within an hour and a half or 2 or 3 hours. I'm just giving a heads up. Okay?
Well, let's,
Just something for you.
my suggestion would be to plan on an hour and a half, and we'll see how far we get. So I think we were I was asking, is there any further discussion on the motion? The motion is to dedicate the next meeting to a review of the current home rule charter. All right, if there's no other discussion, all those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that carries. And then my suggestion would also, to just sort of echo the comments, would be to maybe come to the next meeting with, ideas of, assuming we can get through the charter or a bulk of the charter, or maybe if we don't finish it next week, finish it the following week, then the next steps are going to be, what are you going to do as a group to advance your purpose? So people should start thinking about that and come to the next meeting, would be my suggestion, with, ideas of, where do you want to go? Where do you want to take the group? What do you see as the next steps?
I have a question that may be a stupid question, but there was an article in the paper the other day that there's nobody on the Charter Review Board. So my question is, can people be appointed to the Charter Review Board while we're doing this?
So the city has just for everybody's
charter board,
benefit, the
yeah.
city has a board that's called the Charter Board.
Right.
Which functions to provide advisory opinions and also handle complaints if there are allegations that someone is acting in a way that's in violation of the Home Rule Charter. That board is currently vacant. I think it's a 5-person board, and there are no members currently. The article that you're referencing, which it probably is the same one I saw, the city is currently looking to obtain applicants for the position, but it's very difficult, just not within the city, it's county and statewide and maybe even nationwide. It's more and more difficult to find people who are willing to serve on groups like this. But that's a different board than this board. It has a different function. The city charter currently says that you are limited to serving on one board.
Right.
One board, authority, or commission, I think is the way it reads. And I mean, again, not to jump too far ahead, but one of the things that you may want to consider would be whether the charter should be amended to allow someone to sit on more than one board or commission, only because they're having trouble filling seats. That's,
Or do we merge that committee into another committee?
or merge it, right? So, but that's a different board than this one.
So it wouldn't be a conflict if 5 people magically volunteered for the Charter Board. It wouldn't be,
I don't think I don't see it as a conflict, no.
Right.
Because that board is dealing with the
They were
current
current
charter. That's
stuff,
correct.
right. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have doubt. My question is, the first thing, congratulations to Ms. Morrison and Sheila Perez, Mrs. Tanya, right? Melendez. But I remember in 2019, the board have secretary and treasurer, right? You are treasurer or you are treasurer or secretary in 2019. I saw in the minutes. When will we select
The secretary.
the secretary and the treasurer?
We can, that can be added to the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay.
It has to be on the agenda for you to vote on it. So what I was going to do would be to take some initiative to list, a number of topics. You don't have to, I'm not suggesting any definitive answer, but the prior commission did have a secretary and had a treasurer in addition to a chair and a vice chair. In fact, you were the secretary.
For the sake of operations and organization, I would like us to follow the latest version of Robert's Rules of Order.
Look at that.
I would like us to have one place to go to when there is any kind of disagreement. So we have a rule book that's already in place and we don't have to start from the beginning. Then we can just go to, okay, what's the procedure? I would like to make that a nomination.
Yep, I'll put that on the agenda for the next meeting.
I'm sorry, Pastor Morrison, you raised your hand.
Know exactly what they need to know and have it standardized so that all of us understand it. And at this point, the solicitor is the one who resolves if he is aware of the nature, those kinds of things. So he's our legal analyst. He's our legal what? He's our,
Just so you know, you're running the next meeting.
yes, I know. But when there's issues that we need to address, then of course the solicitor with our.
I am-
they come together.
I am
Yeah.
solely here to support the group as best I can from a legal standpoint. It's your group and I'm only talking as much as I am tonight because we needed to start somewhere, but the chair will run the next meeting, or if she's not able, one of the vice chairs will run the meeting and it will be I take a step back and I provide legal guidance as necessary.
I completely have no issue with that. I just like my rules ahead of
I
time.
agree.
And I like my.
Well,
rules
I'll
in
have that on the
writing.
agenda.
That
'cause-
way.
Yeah,
We all know where we're going and in what direction and how we're rowing.
yeah.
Okay, but am I to understand that if we have any issues with regards to legal, you would be the go-to person to help us resolve that, correct?
That's my job.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, I don't know that there's any further business. Certainly, there's nothing else on the agenda tonight. If there's nothing else, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
You turn your mic.
Oh, I'm
Got it.
sorry. I always forget that. I would like if we would be able to debrief this meeting, if we were able to just talk about how we feel at this point and what we look forward to without taking a lot of time. But I think we need to kind of, share, if that's okay.
Yeah, there's no action to be taken, so they can talk about, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
No, it's not a
No,
motion.
it's
It's
not a
just, this is
motion, no.
just. No,
No,
we'll
it has to
hold
be-
the motion to adjourn. And does anybody want to say anything to follow up with Pastor Morrison's comment about sort of a debrief or share your feelings about what we've accomplished so far today?
Yeah, this is my first time in this particular board and committee. I would like to get a little knowledge as to what I'm gonna be getting involved with and getting familiar with some of the terminology and the information that I need to learn moving forward.
I know one thing that I hope you would find helpful would be a review of the charter next week. Yeah, yeah.
And also what's really helpful is if you go back to the minutes, that also helps. That'll help give you an idea of what the commissions are. And the home rule charter is the governing tool. So if there's something that we feel isn't working, if there's something that is working, if we need to put limits on those who are on boards, commissions, and authorities, this is where the proposal gets discussed. And if the group is in a consensus, then that proposal or that referendum would then be worded appropriately and then forwarded to the Board of Elections so that it could be placed on the ballot so that the people can vote if they're in agreement with this commission's proposals for any amendments or any reprieves that they may have.
I can give you an example, couple of examples. So there was a similar group, a review commission established in 2014, and they recommended, and there was a referendum put to the voters. The city charter at the time required the city auditor to be a certified public accountant with a minimum of 5 years of experience. And the proposal was made and I believe adopted by the voters to eliminate the requirement that an auditor have to be a certified public accountant with 5 years of experience. Probably, my guess is because it was difficult to find somebody who fit those qualifications that would want to run for auditor. And so in 2014, they also proposed a referendum question that actually established the requirement that this charter review commission meet every 5 years or no sooner than every 3 years. In 2020, there was a referendum put on the ballot that allowed city council to have its own solicitor. Prior to that, the city solicitor served both the mayor and the executive branch of government and also city council. And, you know, just read the paper, there's sometimes tension between those two branches. So it's difficult for a lawyer to serve two masters. So now city council has its own legal, it has its own attorney to handle legal questions that come up. In 2020, there was a referendum put on the ballot to, at that time, the city had a Department of Administrative Services. Well, that department was split into the Department of Finance and the Department of Human Resources. And then in 2014, there was a referendum put on there that cleaned up. There was some language in the charter that seemed to duplicate the duties of the mayor and the managing director. So that was a, you know, cleanup. And then in 2020, there was a referendum to impose term limits on the mayor, city council, and the auditor so that they can't keep running. Yeah. So those are 6 examples of what prior groups did. So as Sheila said, you know, your job is to sort of look at the charter, figure out what's working, leave what's working alone. If there's parts of the charter that the group thinks are not working, then recommend to city council and the mayor that a referendum be, it's ultimately up to the voters of the city, which goes to the point that was made earlier about, you know, public education. But, you know, is to make recommendations of, this is what we suggest should be done to fix this particular problem that's within the charter.
Thank you for that.
I just want to clarify that the term limits was actually a referendum that we put on the ballot based on the 2018-2019 Review Commission, and over 11,000 people voted for that in May, in the primaries of May of 2019. Any referendums that are listed 2020, they were not done by the commission, but rather by council.
Okay, anything else? If not, somebody want to make a motion to adjourn? Okay, Ms. Sheehan, so we're adjourned. You don't need a second for an adjournment. I think. Pardon? Certainly. You don't want to go up to the podium and tell us who you are? Well.
Could we?